There we go. The meeting is now being recorded. So welcome to the Green Software Foundation Summit for Europe, hosted by Avanade and Accenture. I'd like to welcome our introductory speaker, Anna Di Silverio, the president of Avanade Europe. Anna joined Avanade in 2010 as general manager of Avanade Italy, and I'll let Anna do the rest of the introductions herself. Over to you. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Chris. Yeah, I joined Avanade 12 years ago, and after 5 years in Italy, I moved to growth markets based in Singapore for 5 years, leading all the APAC region and South America. And right now, I live in Milan, and I'm running the business in Europe. So today, I'm very proud to be here and to kick off this meeting, this session, because really we as Avanade, and of course Accenture, together with Microsoft, GitHub, and other organizations, are very proud members of the steering committee at the Green Software Foundation. Why this is important? It's important because this collaboration that spans communities, advocacies, policies, standard creations, and of course software. It's strategic. It has the power to make an impact on industries, and to ensure that the culture of every organization can really be committed to sustainability from multiple aspects. A good example, as a first good example of what we have done so far, we published the software carbon intensity specification at COP26 to help organizations figure out how to measure carbon. That is still a problem for the organization. We have conversation every day with clients about this, and they still cope with the challenge of putting together, collecting data in a way that doesn't require too manual work, and produce valuable reports to stakeholders. With the Green Software Foundation, we as Avanade and Accenture share the mission of building a trusted ecosystem of people, standards, toolings, and best practices to develop green software. So also we are committed to being a responsible business, and we are making progress in this direction, because our ambition is to embed green software engineering in everything we do. And we want to do that not only in the way we propose the consulting services that we propose to our clients, but also the way we produce solutions, we develop software, and the way we deliver for our clients this solution. We know, we see everywhere that sustainability has become an absolute priority for all our clients. And we are really committed to help all of them use cloud, data, green software to contribute to the sustainability in the planet, while of course also reducing operating costs, creating new operating models, and of course also improving the brand reputation. That is particularly important. I will end this introduction just mentioning what I think is important, other steps that we have taken recently. So since June 1st, Avanade launched the Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability with two very clear, simple services that we can offer our client organizations. One is Avanade Sustainability Technology Accelerator that can help organizations integrate and really capture data for multiple sources and produce effective reports, of course aligned to the KPIs that the organization has selected with their board and all their stakeholders. The other service that is particularly also compelling is a sustainability quick start that helps organizations put it together, people, business and technology to prioritize the best actions and to get results, achieve results aligned to what committed to stakeholders based on insight generated by the Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability. Of course, these are just some examples, but in our opinion, are concrete steps that we are taking in the direction of the journey that will hopefully bring all of us together to create a big impact on the planet and, of course, achieve in the end the net zero emission goal. That is the final, of course, our final mission. So thank you, and I hope you will enjoy today's session, and I'm handing over to Carol.
Thank you very much, Anna. Very impressive to see such a commitment from, Avanade Europe lead that you are. So very, very impressed. Welcome, everyone. I'm very enthusiastic also about this session. I have the pleasure to lead the Sustainability and Technology team for France, Benelux, and the Green Software topic at Accenture for Europe. And let's go. I want to guide you and go together with Chris, who maybe can say a word on himself as well. Go ahead, Chris.
Hi there, my name is Chris Lloyd-Jones. I'm really happy here to present with Carol. I look after open technologies and green software and Avanade. But I don't want to take away from you, Carol, so over to you.
Yeah, so what we've assembled with Chris and a great team here today is really ideas to help you answer this question we all have. How can we act? We are very conscious of what's happening, and Anna, you've reminded us how it's important for our companies to act on sustainability transformation, because it's important for the people, for the planet. We want to make sure that it's compatible also with prosperity, but how can we act? Each of us, whether we are a CIO or in IT leadership team or in business leadership teams in large companies, where we are a functional designer, where we are a developer, how can we act? So this is the purpose of this summit, is to give you some very concrete ideas, example, testimonials on how we can act. I'll do a very quick short intro on why, but I mean, we are all very conscious. I just wanted to set the scene, but Anna has already started with that. And then we'll jump into with Chris on why have we created the Green Software Foundation? Why is this structure interesting? And what kind of projects have we started to kick off? Where do we stand? And how can you contribute to that? So starting with the why. Sustainability is the new digital. That's a sentence that Julie Sweet, our CEO at Accenture, so who is leading that great company of 600,000 people. She says sustainability is the new digital. What does it mean? We all know that there was this large digital transformation that completely changed the way we work, the way we interact also professionally and personally, the way it changed processes and business model and so on. And you know what? The sustainability transformation have similarities compared to the digital transformation in terms of the need for it. And, we hear about the International Panel of Climate Change urging all our companies to act in the coming years. We are here in Europe with heat waves these days. We know how critical it is to tackle the sustainability challenges. So there is a need for change. It's great opportunities as well. And that's what we will focus on also today. And it's massive transformation in terms of training needs, in terms of change of processes, of new systems, and Anna had mentioned some solutions for that. So exactly as we have embarked in our organization on the digital transformation, now we have to embark on, towards the sustainability transformation. And guess what? We want to mix the two together. So how can technology drive this goal of having together the business value, the prosperity we all seek for, but also a positive environmental, societal, and governance outcome? Because when we talk about sustainability, we talk about the environment, yes, the carbon footprint, yes, the biodiversity challenges, of course, scarce resources management, in particular rare metals, all of this. But we also talk about inclusion and diversity challenges, digital accessibility in particular, and ethical topics, in particular the data privacy and the ethical AI. All of this ESG targets, that's what we think the technology can help on. And not only us, but what we've done at Accenture, we've conducted a study asking many CEOs, CIOs, chief sustainability officers in large company. We asked 560 of them. We organized a panel and we asked them, do you think that technology can support the sustainability transformation? They all say yes. They all think, only 50% of them even think that there is a return on investment when you invest in solutions towards sustainable technologies. Only 11%, even some of them think that if you invest in sustainability technology, it can increase your ESG rankings. For example, if you invest in a technology to support the energy management in factories, in manufacturing plants, that can help reduce and thus having a better ESG rankings. So uniting technology, sustainability and technology, that is happening now. So if you move forward, Chris, the issue is what? The issue is, one, lack of industry standards, methodology, and metrics to measure, to report, to show to the outside world how we are good on all these sustainability KPIs, but also framework methodologies for us in the IT teams to act and to say, okay, what guidelines should I adopt? And this is the whole point of the Green Software Foundation, is to help on this on part of this number one. Second issue, the lack of solution and the lack of the right talent to lead them. Solution, Anna has mentioned that there were some new solutions from Microsoft. There are some solutions popping up on the market. Now, the talent, the awareness and training, the talent skills, that's a huge work ahead of us. And here as well, the Green Software Foundation is meant to help. And then the complexity, because it's very complex. Think about all the ESG elements, all the data that are behind that. That's a huge scope. And complex because, you know, from business model to actual operational processes, everything can be disrupted. So we need to embark this journey and do much better than we are doing now. Only 7% have reached for now this unification or integration of sustainability and technology strategy. So let's look at how we can do better. And in the report, we have made three recommendations to have this integration between technology and sustainability. Number one, drive sustainability by technology, meaning report on ESG, because you get what you measure. So if you have systems as powerful for ESG KPIs, environmental KPIs, carbon footprint, as you have for financial KPIs, think about the magic it will do. If I ask each of you, whatever role you have, I'm sure you will be able to say where you stand on your financial KPIs, on your budget, on the forecast, on your landing point at the end of the year. Are you able to say the same thing on ESG KPIs? Not sure. So drive sustainability by technology, ESG performance management solutions, that's one example. There are many others. In particular, if we look at product engineering, hard products, meaning bottles of shampoo or everything that is needed in the construction industry, or think about automotive. All of this, they need to have the data, the right data at the right decision point throughout the process to do the product design, knowing the environmental score of their product before they are released on the market and improving that, exchanging data with the suppliers. So number one, drive sustainability by technology. And as IT teams, maybe, and business teams, we have to think every time we launch an IT project, how can I use this investment in money and effort to embed sustainability and have this notion of sustainability by technology. Second idea, second recommendation, embed sustainability in technology, because technology itself creates an impact. 4% globally of greenhouse gas emissions are linked to the digital industry. Same order of magnitude as airlines. So when Greta Thunberg says, stop taking your next flight, think about the train or think about not moving at all, she could say, stop using any digital, stop using your smartphone and so on. So we're not going to do that, but we have this responsibility to master, to minimize, the negative environmental impact. And that's how we do that, by embedding sustainability in technology throughout the life cycle of our IT architecture, infrastructure definition, of our software, and so on. And third, last recommendation, but not least, scale sustainability using the ecosystem. And that's exactly what we are wanting to do with willing to do with the Green Software Foundation. Because most sustainability topics are, first of all, of course, international topics, but interconnected solutions are needed. Where is it in the supply chain, as I mentioned, automotive, for example, industry, you need to work with your suppliers, you need to invent. Think about in the cosmetics, this consortium that have been created by Unilever, L'Oreal, and others to try to come up with a way to minimize the packaging, the plastic inside the packaging. So, and in IT, it's the same thing. If we're able to think together, to join forces, to think about the frameworks, the methodology, we will have a much quicker and higher impact. And this is what we are looking at for. Everything, all the recommendations are meant towards one goal: have concrete sustainability impact thanks to technology. So let's see, Chris, how we embed sustainability in technology and what we will go through during the day.
Thank you very much. So it's hard to follow that, but I'm going to cover what sustainability and technology is at a very high level before we move on to that in more detail in the business and tech tracks. And also describe why we have a Green Software Foundation, following the points that Carol and Anna have hit off. So broadly, when we use the term green software, we're generally talking about software that is responsible for emitting fewer greenhouse gases. And we tend to talk about carbon or carbon equivalents, because there are all kinds of different greenhouse gases, but by standardizing them into a measure of carbon, it makes it much easier to measure and compare the two. Green is more than just carbon. It's also about e-waste. It's also about pollution. It's also about water. But carbon is the first thing the foundation is focused on because it's such a high priority for many of the organizations out there in the world. So the Green Software Foundation was established, I think, a year and 3 weeks ago. So it's still incredibly new. And this foundation is bringing together many major organizations. And the Green Software Foundation has a vision to change the culture of building software across the global technology industry. So sustainability is a core priority for software teams. So it's just as important as performance, security, cost, and accessibility. Because ultimately, when you think about non-functional requirements or the requirements that people expect of us every day in our roles as technologists, sustainability tends to be something that is considered at the C-suite, at the top of the organization. And the foundation was established to allow software engineers, to allow designers, to allow business analysts and architects to have that same level of impact when they set out the direction of the software that they're building. So why does the foundation exist? Well, the foundation allows us to collaborate with both people that we might want to work with, but also competitors in our same industry because they exist. It gives organizations clarity with patent rights, intellectual property, shared work, and agreed ways of coming to a decision. I've been in the foundation myself for nearly a year, and you actually see that the majority of the foundation operates through consensus because we're trying to do the right thing, because this isn't about profit, it's about making sure we have a planet that is livable for the future. It allows us to create an ecosystem of standards, tooling, and best practices that enterprises, governments, and the public can trust. We have academic organizations, there are non-governmental organizations, there are financial services companies, there are systems integrators, and we are all agreeing on the actions that we need to take. And it also increases the market size through training, through tooling. We are creating services and products. Ultimately, we want everyone in the world to be able to have a career in green software and to have the tooling they need to drive their career, to have the training to know what they need to do, and to have actual market demand for people with those types of skills. The foundation is in 4 groups. It's a sub-foundation of the Linux Foundation, a very well-known brand in the tech industry. And it's not just about software, although that is a major part. We have the policy working group. Policy is all about how do we drive the standards for procurement, for measurement at the supranational and national level. And there are governments engaging with that policy working group to define how should we buy services? Who should we buy them from? How do we measure what is green? We have the community working group that established this series of events, speaking, evangelism, and writing to spread the message of green software and why it is important. We have the standards working group that defines the technology standards for how we measure carbon, so we are all measuring in the same way. For example, you have major different cloud providers from Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. Actually, we don't want people calculating in a different way. We want everyone to use the same measurements so we can focus on the problem of reducing carbon and not quibbling or disagreeing about how we are measuring it. And then the 4th working group, the one which is close to my heart, is the open source working group. And that's about creating the tooling and the software to do these things. The policy working group defines what green is. The standards working group defines how we measure green. The open source working group creates the tools to actually implement that on technology projects. And we'll hear about some of those tools today. And the community working group spreads that message and connects like-minded peers up to share information. I mentioned we have organizations from around the world. We're proud to be a very diverse organization, an organization that is on every continent in the world. We speak many different languages. Our content is available in Japanese, Portuguese, English, many other languages. It's not American-centric, it's not British-centric. We have a lot of different viewpoints, which I think is incredibly important. And over the last year, we've made a ton of progress. As I mentioned, we're in over 190 countries. The global software industry itself has over 1.5 million people, and 5 of our members are Fortune Global 500 companies. So some of the others there that I missed might be the Green Web Foundation, Intesa Sao Paulo, the University of Bristol, Texas State University. You can see the diversity there of the people who are contributing to this technology. And we're growing. So specifically, we have 6 nonprofits, 18 for-profits, and we've grown by 300% in the last year. So there we have the exact number of languages that I mentioned, 6 different languages there, and we're open to any other group that wants to collaborate with us and translate. In 1 year, we've had our first meeting, we've published our first article, we reviewed what existed out there in the ecosystem already and collated a set of awesome green software for others to use for us to then build upon. We published a manifesto to describe what it is that we are about as a foundation. And as Carol mentioned, we launched our first standard at COP26. So between May and December, we brought together technologists and defined a standard, which we're now trying to ratify with IEEE and others to create a globally recognized standard for measuring carbon. And we span the globe. So this particular summit has over 20 different events in over 30 virtual and physical venues across the globe to educate people, to educate and share best practices in development and sustainable programming, and to share some of the many different projects that we have created. So you can measure carbon in your software, and we'll go through this rather scary looking calculation later today and make it simpler for you. We're trying to make this a common language for how we describe problems, how we evaluate technology architectures, and also how we apply this to real life. In many of our trainings, we identify problems, scenarios where this might not quite work. For example, in France, the energy tends to be green because it's all generated from nuclear, but then you have to look at the embodied carbon and how that waste is recycled. In other countries, the grid heavily fluctuates. There's lots of different problems with this in many different countries, and we welcome the feedback from people trying this out and contributing to our GitHub. We are also pleased to announce that the Green Software Principles project at principles.green is now in its final and first published version. So we're about to now move from Green Software Principles to patterns and practices. The patterns will identify how you can apply these principles in your day-to-day software, and the practices will work with major cloud vendors like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google to identify how you can implement green principles with those large cloud providers. And we have slightly shifted the date now, not by the end of 2022, but by the end of 2023, the foundation has a goal of certifying 1 million professionals in green software, which is an incredibly ambitious target, but we think this can change the culture of building software so that sustainability is a core priority. So before we break out into our different tracks, the tech track and the business track, I'll share a link in the chat to principles.green, and I'll also share a link here to the Accenture Sustainability Report with the research that that Carol from Accenture mentioned from many different clients and organizations, explaining just how and why this is such a core priority for companies around the world, from profit to non-profits. And before we do that, are there any questions? Please feel free to pop them in the chat or raise your hand, and then we'll break out into our different sessions.
Thank you so much, Chris. You know, enjoy the sessions, everyone. I think we've prepared some materials for the business stream, the technology stream, more technical stream about functional design. There are facilitated workshops. I have the pleasure to facilitate a panel session right now. Please, anytime, all the questions are welcome in the chat, and we'll take as many as we can throughout the sessions. Thank you so much for this great opening, Anna and Chris, and looking forward to the next steps.
Thank you.